Bai Tang had only two things that deeply penetrated her heart in her lifetime. First, fighting and killing, and second, refining the precious Canglan. What? Let her go and influence the black boss. She couldn't do such a delicate job. So, host, why are you killing him? Host, how did you throw the big villain into the zombie pile? Host, calm down, what do you want to do as a cage? The host does not play according to the routine, and the system 168 indicates extreme exhaustion. Wen Su, who has come from a deep abyss with numerous bones, said that if the heavens abandon me, they will let all ghosts run rampant in the world. If the world hates me, it will make the blood flow into a river. My family and friends dislike me, so they waste their time on human relationships and refuse to recognize my 6 relatives. Bai Tang. Be good, food and clothing are with you, housing and transportation are with you, poetry is with you from afar, be a good person. I will not point a knife at your heart or imprison you with an iron cage. Wen Su. Oh. I want you. I was originally in an abyss, but you carried a poisonous light and didn't get burned by it. From then on, I couldn't forget and put away all the sharp thorns. Black Lotus Big Boss vs. Scheming Villain. Keywords of the novel. Quickly wearing the influence and blackening Big Boss without pop-ups. Quickly wearing the influence and blackening Big Boss complete collection download. Quickly wearing the influence and blackening Big Boss latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. One sword runs across the end of the world. 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. One sword runs across the end of the world. 1. Blooming flowers in the ashes, competing with each other, endless joy. Host, hello. I am System 168, also known as the Black Boss Influence System. The host now needs to find the Black Boss and provide him with meticulous care, influence him, guide him to be positive, and be a good person. Try not to harm the lives of innocent people again. Bai Tang pursed his lips and remained unmoved. You can bind someone else, I won't go. Is it because she cooks wine and splashes tea that her tasteless lifestyle is no longer fragrant? Transforming a black boss. If you ask her to say that it's already blackened out, just kill it, and it's all over. Isn't it quick? This is the simplest and fastest method. System 168 doesn't need to do anything. We finally caught a strong host with a strong soul, but we can't easily miss it. Performance, it's here. Sorry, host, you do not have the right to refuse. System 168 directly entered the mission world with Bai Tang. With a white light, Bai Tang entered the body of a human woman who was a high school student, also known as Bai Tang. She was about to take the college entrance examination in 20 days and had just turned 18. However, an unexpected event occurred, a global drizzle dripped for a month, and surprisingly, zombies from their online novels appeared. So, a large-scale outbreak of zombies occurred, which happened to be 3 months after the zombie outbreak. She is the only one left in Bai Tang's family. System 168 encourages. Host, zombies are rampant in this world, waiting for you to transform the Black Boss and reduce the number of deaths in this world. Bai Tang. Less deaths. Is this blackened boss a? She was very unhappy and forced to bind her to do the task. So, please prepare mentally for this System 168. Canglan. Bai Tang gently uttered these 2 words, and a cold and piercing sword appeared in her hand. Its blade was extremely sharp, and its hair could be broken. Hey! Sword! How can the host summon a sword? The system is extremely suspicious. It has clearly checked and found that the host Bai Tang has nothing special besides a strong soul, and there are no hidden treasures. What's wrong with this sword? Bai Tang smiled maliciously and asked, where is Sherminji? I'll go do the task, I'll influence him, and I'll make sure he doesn't harm innocent people. System 168 was very pleased to see Bai Tang on the road like this and immediately called out the route. Host, Sherminji is not far from you. There are quite a few zombies along the way, so go quickly. Remember, don't be injured by zombies. If you become zombie-like and lose consciousness, I can only abandon you. System 168 doesn't want anything unexpected to happen to Bai Tang, it has no energy. I can't afford to change the host anymore, as long as I bind Bai Tang to survive first. Bai Tang smiled even happier. Her soul reached this body, and its strength underwent a qualitative change. Holding the Canglan sword, Bai Tang rudely kicked open the iron door. Is this strength too strong? System 168 murmured, suddenly feeling a bad feeling. Bai Tang's posture looked like going to fight and seek revenge. Bai Tang's sharp eyes swept towards the corridor. The sound of her kicking the door was too loud, and two swaying zombies in the hallway were attracted by the sound. They turned around and their rotten and unsightly bodies looked really nauseating. Upon smelling the breath of a stranger, the two zombies, their gray and defeated eyes lit up, swaying and rushing towards them like Bai Tang. The hunter was excited when he saw the prey, and coincidentally, Bai Tang was no exception. The soft tongue licked the slightly dry lips, and a hint of disgust flashed in Bai Tang's eyes. 1. The logic of this article is to serve the plot, and the setting is the same. Please do not delve deeper, nor can you delve deeper too. Welcome to Catching Insects and Popularizing Science 3. If you feel uncomfortable with this article, please raise your hand and let's break up peacefully. 4. The entire article is free of charge, and the author's writing is not easy. Please support and vote for recommendations. 5. The first release platform of this book is at Yinchi Academy. That is to say, QQ Reading 6. Book Friend Group 830511403, no threshold, welcome to join 7. Regarding character design. The female lead Bai Tang has a ceiling of combat power, which is truly unmatched by anyone. The male lead Wensu 1v1, Shuangjie, both without any X, had no crush before meeting each other. Finally, he. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. One sword runs across the end of the world. 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. One sword runs across the end of the world. 2. Is this the called zombie? So slow speed. Did you learn from ants and turtles? Bai Tang was too lazy to wait for them to slowly come up, so she rushed forward and flipped in the air. Canglan turned in her hand and directly cut off the heads of the two zombies, as easily as chopping watermelons. In fact, the speed of these two zombies is not slow anymore, it's just that they are facing Bai Tang, a female-killing god. Bai Tang fell behind the two zombies, bent her arm and lightly bumped them, causing their bodies to fall to the ground. The whole process can be said to be quite clean and tidy, and Bai Tang didn't even look back. Bai Tang sighed lightly and caressed the tip of Canglan's sword. Shouldn't we have something challenging just because it's boring and uninteresting? Downstairs were piles of zombies, and Bai Tang seemed to have entered an uninhabited realm, chopping them all the way. Canglan was too sharp, and the zombies were all babies in front of it. After walking for nearly 10 minutes, Bai Tang finally arrived at the final point of the route given to her by System 168, which was in a sports stadium with not many zombies. Sherminji opened his sinister eyes from the bloodstain. The heart-wrenching pain was still present, and the zombie was gnawing on his entire body just now. Sherminji's gaze was fixed on a wheelchair amidst a pile of broken arms and bodies, and he struggled to crawl over with his hand supporting his body. I have no choice but to have a natural leg disability, even though I have died more than 10 times, this aspect of leg disability has not changed. After climbing all the way, I finally reached the wheelchair. Sherminji grabbed the armrest of the wheelchair with both hands and exerted a slight force. With this force, Sherminji successfully sat on the wheelchair. Sherminji is inside, right? System 168. A cold light flashed in Bai Tang's eyes. Host, Sherminji is inside. Have you figured out what to do? As a black boss, Minji is very sensitive and also bad. He has now controlled the zombies and pulled many normal people to be eaten. The System 168 chattered a lot without realizing that the current situation was a bit off. Bai Tang sneered and carried Canglan into the gymnasium. In the vast stadium, there was only one person, Min, sitting in a wheelchair, tidying up his sleeves, covered in blood and some dirty filth. This person's face is extremely beautiful, even though it is not very clean now, it is a fragmented and messy beauty. However, Bai Tang didn't have so much thought to appreciate it. As System 168 said, Min's hand had already been stained with the blood of an innocent person. So, are you Minji? A clear voice rang in Minji's ear, and System 168 was gripping his heart. What was the host up to? How can such an appearance work? Where does anyone come and shout loudly, "Are you Minji?" This is just telling him openly that I'm here for you, isn't it? Host, you're not doing this right. I see that the hosts selected by other systems are all the ones. First, save them, bring them with you, and then treat them well, resist public opinion, and always believe in them. System 168 summarized the experience learned from other systems and carefully told Bai Tang. There's no way, it seems that his host is a bit foolish, and it's not certain if he can still upgrade with him. Minji's eyes were dark and heavy, and his long and well-defined fingers smoothed out the creases in his sleeves. He glanced at the young girl at the entrance of the gymnasium, who was wearing a high ponytail and her clothes were a bit messy. Her behavior seemed somewhat strange, holding a beautiful sword. Modern people hold a sword. Another prey has arrived. Minji chuckled lightly and answered, I am Minji. What can I do for you? But a little girl, it's easy to solve. After receiving confirmation, Bai Tang also smiled and said, Minji, I heard you have turned black, and you are still turning black as the big boss. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. One sword runs across the end of the world, 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. One sword runs across the end of the world, 3, System 168. Is it really good for the host to do this? This tone deserves a lot of beating, this attitude is very impressive. Minji. Looking at the young one, there are some brain problems. Bai Tang showed a sweet smile, and with a wave of her bare hand, Canglan made a move and hit the sword handle with a palm. Canglan rushed towards Minji with a momentum like breaking bamboo. The cold and piercing Canglan, carrying a murderous aura, rushed towards Minji. Minji's brain quickly made a judgment. Hide. No, it can't be avoided anymore. Isn't it just dying again? Avoidance is unavoidable, so. Zombies, it's your turn to come on stage. Canglan entered the body with a strong impact, taking Minji out of his wheelchair and dragging him back for several tens of meters, nailing him to the wall of the gymnasium. Bai Tang opened his hand and said in a cold voice, surprisingly, he is still alive. His heart must not be on the left, on the right. Canglan returned to Bai Tang's hands, and before Minji's body had fallen, another sword came over. Minji felt like his whole body was convulsing, and it was too painful. As he passed through his heart, a big hole was punctured in his heart. System 168 is going crazy, just in the blink of an eye, how could such a thing happen? The host actually took action against the blackened boss. Host, what are you doing? Stop it for me. You're not enough to stab one sword, you still need to stab 2 more swords. I'm asking you to influence the black boss, not to kill him. Stop it. System 168 roared, but it couldn't change the Canglan that passed by Minji's right chest when the next sword pierced through. Bai Tang's 5 fingers formed claws, and with a grab, Canglan returned to his hand once again. Small system, you're not being reasonable. I've already completed the task perfectly. No, since the boss who blackened out has died, there won't be any innocent people falling into his hands and being killed by him. Solve the problem from the root. Small system, do you understand? System 168 is going to have a headache. It's a host who doesn't play cards according to common sense and solves the problem from the root if there's a slight mistake. It doesn't know if it stepped on dog poop when it went out. Oh, I can indeed control zombies, but these zombies are not enough for me to kill alone. Bai Tang held Canglan in her hand and began to harvest expressionlessly. If it weren't for a small world, she wouldn't have been able to use her hands and feet to avoid destroying the world. With just one strike, she could have killed all the zombies. With one slash, one sweep, one chop, one cut, one thrust, one leap, one turning sword, a large area of black and grinning zombies collapsed. In just 2 minutes, there was no trace left, and Bai Tang's combat effectiveness was astonishing. System 168 was also shocked, but it still didn't forget that Bai Tang had stabbed Shermin's 2 swords, both of which were killing moves, heading straight towards Shermin's heart. The heart must not be on the left, on the right. Look, is this speaking in human language? Listen, do people speak? Where is there a way to kill the host of the mission object as soon as possible? System 168 calmed down his anger and said, Host, even if you are very powerful and can sweep 1,000 armies alone, our task is to influence the Black Boss and make him stop doing bad things. It's not killing him. Bai Tang was very puzzled and said, if he could be influenced, would he still become the Black Boss? He has already done something bad, harming innocent people. I'm sorry, I think the ultimate goal of the task is not to influence the Black Boss, but to prevent him from harming innocent people. So, my approach is not a problem. Unfortunately, Bai Tang had reason and evidence, and the blocked System 168 couldn't say anything. He angrily said, Host, what do you know? Sherminji is the biggest blackened boss. If he had killed it easily, he would have completed the task long ago. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. One sword runs across the end of the world, 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 5. One sword runs across the end of the world, 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. One sword runs across the end of the world, 5. It seems that it was because it was too kind to her, so she didn't know that heaven and earth are thick. System 168 gave a gloomy smile and directly increased the level of lightning strikes. Host, this is what you forced me to do. Remember, you brought it all on your own. Unless you beg for mercy from me and complete the task according to my requirements, then just wait for your soul to flee. The lightning strike has a maximum intensity of 10 levels, and no one has ever been able to withstand the 5th level. In just 1 minute, the 10th level can scatter the host's soul, making it impossible for them to be reborn forever. System 168 has now reached level 10 and is treating Bai Tang with the highest intensity, but there is no intention of taking her life. He doesn't have enough energy to switch hosts anymore, and around the time, he will stop and show her the power of System 168. System 168 is almost certain that Bai Tang will definitely beg for mercy and become obedient. Bai Tang hooked her lips, seemingly not taking the words of System 168 seriously. Bai Tang gently placed her fingers in front of her lips, facing Sherminji, and her lips opened and closed one by one. You asked for it yourself. At this moment, Min Ji, as soon as he saw her, wanted to summon zombies to kill her. She just took the initiative first. 10 level lightning strike intensity. You came just right. Canglan was in hand, and Bai Tang pulled out a beautiful sword flower. 10 level lightning strike intensity. Bai Tang timed her time and walked with ghostly steps, using her body as the output and Canglan's sword as the direction to strike her soul with a 10 level lightning strike. At the moment when she was about to touch her soul, she encountered a strange force that poured out from the Canglan sword in an instant. The point of the sword is a dark mass of zombies. Electricity turned into a fierce white light. Bai Tang made a weak grab on his left hand, and Sherminji felt a force controlling his body. Facing Bai Tang's sinister smile, Sherminji's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. With a flick of his left hand, Sherminji was thrown into the pile of zombies. The curvature of Bai Tang's mouth became even larger, and his smile became even more brilliant. Sorry. The zombie was summoned by you. Since you want me to be eaten by zombies, then let you bear the punishment of level 10 lightning strikes together with the zombies. The gymnasium is as bright as day, but unfortunately it cannot reach Bai Tang. Small system, look at this lightning blooming flower. It looks so beautiful, it shines brightly on the entire gymnasium. By the way, your blackened boss is also inside. Bai Tang laughed wildly, constantly stimulating the system 168. Isn't there an immortal buff? Coincidentally, if she wants to, she can also spend time with him and see who can spend more time with him. God will pity the painful experiences of the wicked, but will not show mercy towards them. System 168. Epsilon epsilon epsilon, hashtag GT Winkyface, LT Winkyface. It has never encountered a difficult host like Bai Tang in its life. It's just that, even if it's gone, he still needs to switch to someone else to bind. It's blind, with such a host on display. With this in mind, System 168 immediately began to unbind. However, an accident occurred. System 168 repeatedly asked, Bai Tang, what did you do to me? Why can't we unbind? Why? Bai Tang smiled innocently and exclaimed in surprise, ah, you want to run away? How could I? Until the last moment, System 168 firmly refused to give up. Bai Tang rubbed his Canglan sword with great care and said, I'm sorry, little system, you can't leave now. There's no such cheap thing in the world. Can you pull me into the small world to influence this black-hearted boss, regardless of my wishes? You can also punish my soul with lightning strikes because I didn't follow your requirements. Now, because I can't do anything about it, I want to run, it's impossible. As Bai Tang spoke, her tone suddenly changed to sharp. Even if you die, you must die here for me. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. One sword runs across the end of the world, 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. One sword runs across the end of the world, 6. If it weren't for her strength, this System 168 would go to hell with other girls. It doesn't want a collaborator, but a puppet that can be tamed in order to benefit itself and listen to him. System 168 felt this murderous aura and shrunk silent. He didn't think Bai Tang had the ability to destroy him, at most it was because Bai Tang couldn't find a way now. 10-level lightning strike intensity, fully electrified for 15 minutes before stopping, the crackling sound of lightning concealed the screams and cries of pain. Life is like a mayfly, death is like morning dew, turning into flying ash. Oh, this has all turned into ash. Bai Tang jumped back in fear, but her face was filled with a smile. In this ashes, there was a clump slowly reuniting. Bai Tang knew it was Sherminji, walked over, squatted down, and curiously looked at it. A person with an undead buff cannot die even if they turn into flying ash under level 10 soul lightning strikes. It truly deserves to be called an undead buff. Please, this buff is super strong, just like a small powerhouse in the mortal world, it cannot be killed. Perhaps the intensity of the lightning strike was too severe, and Sherminji's body was damaged too thoroughly. Bai Tang waited for a long time, but his pile of ash was still reuniting. So why not move Sherminji's wheelchair over? Since she can't kill him, she'll personally keep an eye on him. This is an honor that many people cannot seek. So, the first time we met, it was very pleasant for Bai Tang. She killed Sherminji twice, but for Sherminji, it was not so beautiful. She didn't have real strength and could only rely on the method of summoning zombies to kill 1,000 enemies and self-harm 800 to achieve her goals, but both attempts failed. Bai Tang counted the stars and the moon for a whole night, only then did he count it as time for Min Ji to be resurrected. It's just that, wow, you're a disciple. You're not wearing clothes. Bai Tang kicked him into the dust and rolled him a few times before he could be considered dressed. Poor Shi Minji, who was only resurrected after being struck by more than 10 lightning strikes, still had a crackling and buzzing sound in his mind, and was kicked by Bai Tang again, his mouth full of ash. Bai Tang leaped a few times and jumped out. It was dozens of miles around, clean and empty, completely electrified. The sports hall still existed just because Bai Tang protected it. After finally finding a clothing store and picking up a few pieces of clothes, Bai Tang rushed back without saying a word. With a touch of white silk rolled up, Min Ji used a cleaning technique to clean him up and threw a pile of clothes directly at him. Leave only one sentence. Choose for yourself, you have no choice. Shi Minji had a splitting headache and had only just recovered when he was kicked again, causing his body to curl up and tremble uncontrollably. Another pile of clothes, like a small mountain, rushed towards him, and Shi Minji was almost suffocated by the pressure. Reluctantly crawling out of a pile of clothes, he hesitated for a while, feeling a mixture of anger and sorrow. He believed that this woman would die without a place to bury herself. He took a clean piece of clothing and wiped the dust off his body. Despite dying so many times, his legs are still disabled, congenital disability, and even resurrection cannot be changed. Fortunately, the flexibility of the hands is very high, making it relatively easy to wear clothes and pants. Just, what's wrong with the woman's bra and skirt inside? Is this humiliating him? If Bai Tang knew, Bai Tang. It's very innocent, is there any? Asterisk omega, she just picked it up casually, where did she care about so much? This pile of clothes was almost all the clothes in that store, and she brought almost all of them over. As for having women's clothes, it's also normal. Saying it's a shame is really overthinking him. Without hearing the rustling of clothes, Bai Tang entered. As a female killer, she had no habit of peeping at others naked. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. One sword runs across the end of the world, 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. One sword runs across the end of the world, 7. A fierce gaze shot at her, and Bai Tang believed that if there was a way to kill her now, Shi Minji would definitely kill her without hesitation. Bai Tang pursed his lips and said, Shi Minji's skills are not as good as humans. If it weren't for my skills, it would have been me who died under the zombie's mouth today. Shi Minji didn't want to pay attention to Bai Tang. Speaking of which, it was indeed him who started. He was the first to have the intention to kill Bai Tang, but was killed in rebellion. Later, he moved again and was killed in rebellion. Unfortunately, Shi Minji didn't know that Bai Tang had the intention to kill him from the beginning. Coincidentally, Shi Minji saw Bai Tang for the first time and wanted to kill her. Shi Minji's tone was very unpleasant. What else do you want? Shaming me is not enough. Do you still want to step on my face and sing conquest? He really doesn't want to see Bai Tang at all, and his whole body still hurts. Bai Tang is truly innocent. Shi Minji, it says you are a blackened boss. Even if you are a blackened boss, shouldn't you falsely accuse me? Bai Tang, act upright and sit upright. When did I humiliate you? She just stabbed him 2 swords very decisively, then threw him into the group of zombies and enjoyed a lightning bath with the group of zombies who had no consciousness. Counting it all, she killed him twice, never humiliating him. Heaven and earth have a conscience, she is truly unjustified. When did Bai Tang humiliate Shi Minji? Shi Minji had a cold and stiff face, knowing that he had thought too much and that the woman's clothes were taken by her unintentionally. But Shi Minji would never admit that he overthought it. Bai Tang glanced at the woman's bra, which was clearly not together and had been thrown aside. Suddenly, she realized that it didn't smell like it. "Oh, it's because of it," she said. "What are you talking nonsense about?" Shi Mingji clearly lacked confidence. He had only seen that thing in the clothing field, in some movies, and suddenly it was thrown in the face. Can he not think too much about it? Still a woman threw it on his face. Bai Tang blinked her innocent phoenix eyes and said, "I'm not talking nonsense." It's clear that he didn't admit it himself, it's her fault for talking nonsense. Men, words are not right, words are not right, hearts are not right. Shi Mingji. You killed me too, what else do you want to do? Shi Mingji's tone was very unpleasant, and no one would speak kindly to a person who stabbed himself with 2 swords and turned himself into flying ash. Bai Tang blinked again and said, "Shi Mingji, do you believe me? My task is to influence you." Shi Mingji couldn't help but twitch at the corner of his mouth as he listened, feeling resentful. Do you have the ability to influence people like this? Have you turned people into flying ashes? If the heart is not on the left, it is on the right, and the TM is working together. Shi Mingji admitted to being a person with a black heart, black liver, and black lungs. His whole body was completely black. When he heard the word influence and thought about what Bai Tang had done, he couldn't help but curse. Bai Tang coughed lightly twice to ease the atmosphere, and then said, "But I didn't agree." Shi Mingji. Oh. I didn't agree for a moment. Shi Mingji didn't know what to say. Bai Tang said again, "You are amazing. You have an undead buff, which is amazing. You can also summon zombies. It's amazing. I'm going to have a bad time living an ordinary life. Meeting someone as interesting as you is really a big challenge." Shi Mingji was speechless again, his emotions were the seasoning of her boring life. Shi Mingji smiled sadly and said, "Bai Tang, you can't kill me, but I can definitely kill you. As long as he doesn't want to die, he won't die." Bai Tang couldn't kill him, but he could understand her methods time and time again, and in the end, he succeeded in killing. This is also why Shi Mingji is so confident that he can kill Bai Tang. He doesn't want to die, he wants all humanity to bury him, and everyone hasn't died. How could he be willing to die? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. One sword runs across the end of the world, 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. One sword runs across the end of the world, 8. Bai Tang touched the tip of his nose and said nonchalantly, "You can give it a try and see who can kill who." System 168. Is the plot heading in the wrong direction? The host and the blackened boss are going to have a life-to-death battle. Why don't you just speak up and make sure to kill the other person, right? System 168 indicates that his systematic life has encountered a huge impact. Shi Mingji was also unwilling to be outdone, full of murderous intent. He crawled out of his broken arm and body, and at first he would vomit faintly, afraid of trembling. Now, accustomed to it, he was the demon that came from it. Let's wait and see. Okay, I'll let you stay by my side and see if you can kill me or be killed by me. Canglan turned her back, and Su Bai's slender fingers put on the wheelchair. Bai Tang pushed the wheelchair and walked out. It was clear that the sword and sword had just met, and now they were unexpectedly harmonious. Shi Min's fingers twitched slightly, an unexpected sensation. This Bai Tang is a bit disliked, but he is straightforward and not cunning. He is much better than those who are hypocritical and want a good reputation. It's not too good to be someone who is forced to come. Bai Tang pushed the wheelchair, revealing a strange smile. Shi Mingji suddenly felt a chill in his back. System 168 came out again at this time. Host, this is exactly the time to influence the Black Boss. Please take the task seriously and don't think about how to kill the Black Boss. For the host who is trying to kill the blackened boss, he happens to have a sensory system, and System 168 expresses extreme helplessness. Little system, you're so foolish. I don't have to give too much for all of humanity, Bai Tang said in a sad and heartbroken tone. System 168. When did the host pay? Host, are you teasing me? When did you pay? You just killed the black boss twice. Twice. Bai Tang said wrongly, little system, you have wronged me. Shiminji is clearly a black-hearted person. He wanted to kill me, but I killed him back. What's the problem? Besides, Shiminji is only thinking about how to kill me now, shifting his gaze from all humanity to me. I have to bear his various assassinations. Isn't my effort enough? System 168. There seems to be some truth to it. Where makes sense? It was almost brainwashed by this rolling calf host. If you don't kill him, how could he kill you? Host, if you don't think about your own reasons, it's just that Shiminji is there to find the reason. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. Bai Tang's tone became much colder. Xiao system, you're right about that. If a fly doesn't bite a seamless egg, how could it be the reason for the egg? It's clearly a fly that doesn't bite or penetrate every hole. Shimin is already a black-hearted person. If I don't kill him, he will gather zombies to dismember me. As I said, he will fight against each other, and those who are not skilled will die. What's there to complain about? System 168 is irrefutable and insists, anyway, it's your fault. Bai Tang joked and said, the little system is so angry that it has nothing to say. Only unreasonable people would do this. You can't forgive me. System 168 is almost crying with anger. What should we do? The host is too infuriating. He still can't unbind and run away. Wow. Bai Tang smiled and said, if I don't pay attention, I'll take up 3 points. As for being reasonable, why should I spare someone? That's really funny logic. It is obvious that one has found oneself unreasonable and wants to deceive others. If they find it difficult to deceive others, they blame those who are reasonable. System 168 simply ignored Bai Tang and avoided drawing circles to curse her. Draw a circle to curse you. Choking while eating, falling while walking, choking on drinking water, being hit by a car while crossing the road, and being struck by lightning after death. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. One sword runs across the end of the world, 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. One sword runs across the end of the world, 9. Bai Tang was unaware of these minor details in System 168, and even if he did, he would not pay attention to his childish behavior. After leaving the gymnasium, Shiminji was shocked by a pile of ashes in front of him. The corners of my mouth twitched uncontrollably once again, and all I could see was ruins and ashes. This destructive power is simply unbearable. In the distance, about a kilometer away, there are some buildings. Shiminji turned around to take a look, but it wasn't completely destroyed. At least, the gymnasium was still there, although it was also in a precarious situation. The entrance, which had been cut off in a row for the zombies he had summoned to enter, was not as flat as human-made. Shiminji suspected that the corners of his mouth would twitch again, afraid of cramping and becoming a mouth-twitching monster. Bai Tang said in a warm voice, how about it? There are no zombies or buildings in 1,000 miles. How much time do you think you need to spend killing me? Shiminji sneered and said, that only proves that you have a simple mind, well-developed limbs, only destructive power, and no brain. Bai Tang was not angry at all and said, do I have a brain? Shiminji, just watch. Bai Tang pushed Shiminji slowly and leisurely. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, psi. It's really a bargain for him, allowing him to enjoy the service that many people are eager for, from Mr. Bai Tang. I have been collecting my sword for many years, but unfortunately, I have come to fight again. What a surprise. Shi Mingji couldn't help but feel a little melancholy. Bai Tang was too powerful and easily killed a group of zombies. And what about him? His legs were born disabled, and after his parents passed away in a car accident, he was locked up by his illegitimate son, Shi Moshuan, for 5 years. The end of the world came, and the hypocritical Shi Moshuan claimed that he couldn't leave his brother behind. After encountering a zombie, he said he couldn't run with him and pushed him to the zombie. He also cried, causing everyone to be sad. Those who saw him were moved by his righteousness, which was extremely ridiculous. He was once again taken away and pushed towards a zombie. From then on, Shi Mingji swore that if anyone betrayed him, he would slaughter them all. After discovering that he could summon and control some zombies, Shi Mingji began his plan and gathered a large number of zombies when he met a group of people. Kill 1,000 enemies, self-harm 800, he wants to eliminate all the people in the world. Even if I were to be devoured by zombies, I would still be eaten once. However, the variable of Bai Tang is that his plan may not be able to be implemented. Regarding this, Bai Tang stated. After a while, Shi Mingji said again, there's nothing good about humans. Little brother, who told your sister that she is human? You are human, Bai Tang said with a smile. I know I'm not a good thing, and you're not a good thing either, Shi Mingji stubbornly emphasized. Shi Mingji, you are so childish. Elementary school chickens argue, ha ha ha. Bai Tang joked. Shi Mingji remained silent in frustration. He secretly thought to himself that whenever there was a chance, he would kill Bai Tang. Bai Tang suddenly remembered something and asked System 168, Little System, where is the original Bai Tang? Just now, she was only thinking about how to destroy Shi Mingji, but she forgot about it. She was brought by this small system for no reason, and the original owner was gone. If she squeezed out the original owner, it would be so bad that she had to compensate them. System 168 said in frustration. Infected with zombie virus, didn't survive, died. Bai Tang finally settled down for dim sum. The girl was still fighting for the college entrance examination. All her relatives died overnight. Since she was dead, she used her body again. So, if you can do something for her, do something. Bai Tang, along with her grandmother and grandfather, lives in the countryside, and both grandparents have passed away. Bai Tang decided to go to the countryside to find them first. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. One sword crosses the end of the world, 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. One sword crosses the end of the world, 10. Maybe they are still alive, not infected, or have awakened their abilities. If they are still alive, take them over. Bai Tang is an action-oriented person who takes immediate action at the slightest thought, full of enthusiasm. Pushing Shi Mingji out of this uninhabited area, Bai Tang smiled and pulled out Canglan, starting to search for resources. Bai Tang specifically found a large truck that could hold a lot of things. At this time, it didn't make much sense to have a small and exquisite car. In the apocalypse, with water pollution, Bai Tang brought in a lot of water and added some clothes and food. Put Shi Mingji in the passenger seat, throw the wheelchair behind him, step on it, and walk towards the gas station. Shi Mingji's expression was really complicated. He had never seen a woman like Bai Tang before. She was full of combat and destructive power, but also full of enthusiasm. When killing zombies, he almost wrote about his excitement in his eyes, which made him feel unsatisfied. Putting him in the passenger seat like this, I'm not afraid of him doing something and calling her a car wreck. You should know that as long as he doesn't want to die, he can never die. Bai Tang gently sang a song in his mouth, which was a language that Shi Mingji couldn't understand. It was obscure and talkative, but very friendly. It feels like being in the spring light, surrounded by long grass, birds flying, and warm spring flowers blooming, beautiful and harmonious. Bai Tang, can you stop humming? The sound of the jar is too jarring to be heard. Sherminji said with a dark face. He wouldn't admit that he was lying because he felt warmth and remembered the term influence. Bai Tang's face remained unchanged and he retorted, only those who are blind to their ears and hearts will feel that the songs of Green Shi are unbearable and unappealing. By the way, LV Shi is much more suitable than me. But if you let me come, I'm just a layman who only knows how to fight and kill. If you don't agree, just go ahead. You really look up to me. Sherminji. He doesn't know who Green Shi is, but no matter who comes, he will kill her. Bai Tang hummed another song. She doesn't want to influence any sinister boss. Tenderness and kindness are not her label. This song is going to burn a lot, as if you are immersed in the shadows of knives and swords, fighting to the death and killing recklessly, igniting your fighting spirit. Bai Tang's driving speed has increased significantly. Arriving at the gas station, Bai Tang first cleaned up the surrounding zombies, searched for a large iron bucket, and filled it with a lot of oil to avoid running out of gas halfway when driving. Bai Tang returned to the driver's seat and met Sherminji's gaze. Sherminji sneered, you really don't have the brain. With so much oil, I'll light a fire back and you'll know what it means to have a dangerous heart. Bai Tang sneered and continued driving, you can give it a try. Maybe you'll experience another way of dying. Explosion, burning, have you ever experienced it? Shermin's face turned black, he turned his head and didn't look at Bai Tang. Bai Tang laughed heartily. Small sample, it's still a bit tender. As soon as Bai Tang encounters a food store, she will go in and clean up, and even make some cold mats and blankets. The two of them drove their trucks to the countryside like this, and when they left the city, the number of zombies decreased significantly. After all, the city was a densely populated area. The environment outside the city has been almost destroyed, water has been polluted, and even some animal mutations have appeared. When they arrived at the village, there were still many zombies swaying around. Smelling the scent of a stranger, they immediately became excited and followed the scent. Bai Tang stepped on the brake and raised his eyebrows, saying, "Hey, Sherminji, could you please gather them?" The location of the zombies is somewhat scattered, and they can be lazy. Bai Tang still doesn't mind being lazy. Sherminji's face turned black, wanting to use him as a tool for her laziness. No way. Aren't you very powerful? Think of a way for yourself. Sherminji's tone was very unpleasant. Bai Tang Canglan lay horizontally around his neck and threatened, "Hurry up, at least I'll give you a ride and push you a bit." End of this chapter.